Hello YouTube, this is Ben Kessel. Um, so this is part two of this kind of cooking, these cooking videos. I want to go into kind of in depth about herbs and spices as well as condiments I use when I'm cooking or making any kind of thing, and then get into meats and other stuff here in a bit. So I don't use parsley, by the way. I just don't like the flavor of parsley too much. But if you guys have any suggestions about using parsley, I guess I'm open to it. But it's just, I don't know. It's funny. So I don't know. It just tastes like very rustic barn type of taste. I'm not sure what it is. It's probably my least favorite kind of herb. Of course, I'll use cilantro with all kinds of stuff. And also this question of fresh versus dried spices and herbs. Well, I guess more with herbs and stuff. So I'll use cilantro with a lot of stuff that isn't cooked too long, but it's pretty versatile. Sage, of course, I'll always use often use with pork and sometimes with poultry, and rosemary, similar with sage, but rosemary goes great with lamb as well. Imagine sage. There's some crossover there. Thyme goes good with a lot of stuff, but meat and stuff, especially. Also chicken. Basil, fresh basil goes great with salads and vegetables. It's very flavorful. I love basil. But chervil I've been able to find here and there. I know it's kind of more of an egg type of herb, but it's kind of delicate. So that's always an interesting addition to stuff. But it's not. You just can't find it very often. Tarragon, I imagine the fresh stuff tastes a little bit better, but I know tarragon's great with lemon stuff and eggs and chicken and fish. Well, fish especially, but certain kinds of fish. Of course, dill. I like dill, but I don't use it all the time. It's a little bit stronger. I know it's kind of the vinegary tartar sauce, potato salad kind of thing. Potato salad especially. Marjoram will use a lot. Fresh marjoram I think would be great with vegetable type stuff. And savory, of course, peas and beans. So I've seen star anise before at Asian markets. And, if I knew how to cook Chinese food really well, I might use more star anise. And, there's aniseed. It's a very unique taste. I know it's kind of root beer licorice arena. Fennel's kind of like the licorice, but different. Fennel's kind of a borderline between something savory, vegetable-y, and then also a little bit of the licoricey thing too. But anise is really licoricey. And then caraway. I got it once before, but looked like it was more for breads, Bavarian style breads or German breads or whatever. And also, with all these guys, I'm curious about how you guys use them. Fenugreek powder or seeds, I'm crazy about. So anything, if I want something mapley, not just in curries, but if I want to make something more of a maple flavor without getting into the bacon thing, I'll use fenugreek a bit more now. Black pepper, red pepper, cayenne pepper. How do you guys use those? I know that some of the hot stuff is great with, eggs and potatoes and stuff, breakfasty stuff. Bay leaf, I maybe just don't have stews a whole lot, so the less you have stews and soups that you want that stronger flavor, the less you'll use bay leaf. So it's just not very useful a lot of times, but I don't know. It's just that, you get one of those little jars of bay leaf and it just lasts forever, depending on, what you need it for. Adobo season, I love that stuff. I know it's just kind of salty. It's adobo seasoning. Garlic salt, I used to use it a lot. Not quite as much these days, but it's like your standard kind of meat seasoning, I suppose. Capers, I've never used them. So are you curious if you guys ever use capers for anything? Of course, turmeric I'll use a lot with curries and other things. Paprika, even more. Cumin, it's not only Indian, but very, very Mexican kind of cuisine. So it always comes through. I love cumin. I think cumin goes good with beans and meat and stuff. Coriander, well, I don't use it a lot, but, here and there. I've actually had celery seed before. That was not bad either. Cloves and nutmeg, I don't use hardly at all. I think those are baking spices like cinnamon or allspice. maybe I'll use some. I like cinnamon, and of course, I know there's a difference between cinnamon and cassia as well. Mace I've used before. It's a kind of it's like nutmeg, but just more maybe good for meat and stuff. Saffron I think is weird. I think it's overpriced. I've heard that saffron that's you can buy in stores isn't the real saffron. I don't. I just this is one subject I'm curious what you guys think, because again you just get so little bit of saffron for so much money. It's kind of ridiculous. I don't know. Curry powders I'll use a lot. The yellow, the red, green curry powder, all kinds of stuff. Almond Shore, it's been a while since I've used it, but I love it. And then you can find it at Whole Foods. At least I used to be able to find it at Whole Foods. I imagine they still carry it. It's just a question of when they carry it. Asafoetida powder, I've also seen that at Whole Foods. But I know it's kind of the weirder smelling one. I still use in Indian cuisine a lot. Ginger, I'll use. I wonder if a lot of times in Chinese food they'll use the ginger root, and they'll just cut a little bit in there, or cut it in small little bits, or they'll kind of use like a ginger sauce or something, or the ginger powder doesn't seem like something that is often used, or is not used as often as the other stuff in Chinese cuisine. So Chinese and I don't know, Southeast Asian cuisine or whatever. And of course garlic powder I'll use all the time for a lot of stuff. So what do you guys how much do you guys use tartar sauce or mayonnaise or mustard, ketchup, relish, different kinds of gravies, and how do you make gravies? Sweet chili sauce or the hot sauce that you might use a lot of times in Asian cuisines. Vinegar. What kinds of soups or stews do you guys tend to make? Do you guys use that shrimp cocktail sauce? I prefer tartar sauce, by the way, a little bit over that stuff. Barbecue sauce, teriyaki sauces, any particular favorites, or soy sauces, tamari, plum sauces. How do you guys use that stuff? Is it just you just use that with duck and you just pour it all over duck kind of thing, or bits of duck pieces in the plum sauce kind of thing? Also, how do you guys use butter or ghee? And if you bake, do you ever use how do you use honey or molasses or maple syrup or all that stuff? So of course this the last little bit here I have to go over talk a little bit how I cook meats and how I make meats. With eggs, I've learned to be pretty versatile and I've gotten better at making them. With eggs, you just have to keep watching them. That's the most important thing. Yes, you can use something to make them non-sticky, but don't use the non-stick Pam stuff. That's just not healthy. I heard it's better to go with a little bit of ghee butter and melt it a little bit first, low heat maybe, or if you use a little bit of oil. But if you want to get really help with the non-stick stuff, but just keep an eye on it and keep turning it over, keep flipping it. Don't overcook eggs. I also know I've learned kind of how if you're making eggs, an egg, depending on how many eggs you're cooking, if you're using low heat, eggs shouldn't take any longer than 5 minutes, 10 minutes tops. Actually, 10 is a little bit much. It just depends on how quickly your burner heats up and stuff. But yeah, 5-10 minutes, right in that ballpark. Any more than 10, and you're going to have very overcooked eggs, I think. In general, salmon is pretty easy for me to cook because it tends to stick together pretty well. But I've heard it said that it's a sin to use any seasonings with salmon because it's so good. You just want to let it be. Maybe a little bit of dill, maybe. Cod, you can get more into all those herbs, I suppose. Lemon juice, but just a little bit goes a long way. And there's a whole bunch of different types of fish. I know about all of them, and I'm curious how you guys make them, how you guys prepare them. I might try making my own crab cake one of these days. I love crab cakes. Still, I think sushi is a art, so I don't know if I'll ever get to the point where I'm actually a halfway decent sushi maker. But anyway, any thoughts on how you guys prepare fish? I'm definitely all ears. I know tilapia is the one to not get. I've also had escargot before, and lobster. So I know about this stuff. So, and of course, getting in chicken and turkey I make all the time. And it's because I generally eat dark chicken and dark turkey, I haven't really had to deal with overcooking the stuff too much. But I know that if you get the light poultry, that's where you have to watch it very carefully how much you cook it. So, I'm curious as to how long, you guys, depending on what kind of chicken, depending how big of if you get organic, you get bigger, regular conventional chickens or turkey breasts, how long you cook them, depending on how you're cooking them. Just, great. It's great to get some feedback here, but again, I stick with the dark stuff, and it tends to work out better because you can cook it for a bit and make sure it's thoroughly cooked, and it's not too overcooked, really. But how do you guys make chicken? To get it just right. That's what I'd like to know. Same thing with duck. Pork is, I do pretty well with pork as well, especially pork ribs. Bacon and sausage are no-brainers. Those are easy. Any thoughts on beef, different cuts of beef, how you guys make those? As well as bison and lamb. I've had mutton before as well. It's strong smelling, very strong. And rabbit, I know it's like venison, you want to maybe put some butter or oil in that pan that you're making it, or I should say oven for rabbit, depending on what kind of rabbit, Yeah, like turkey legs, rabbit can be a little bit harder to do in a pan. I like to make it kind of evenly cooked. I've made Cornish game hen before. That was a little bit interesting. It's an oven thing. I don't know. It's kind of lean. Corned beef I've done before. It's pretty straightforward. It's just that, and with corned beef, a lot of times you get the peppercorns and get the mix already there. And so I don't know if you guys, I'm curious if you guys like keep the mix and use it, or if you guys throw out the mix and do your own thing, and what you guys use for seasoning the corned beef. Ground beef I know is very versatile as well. I haven't had ground beef for a while. I just, it's nice to have the beef flavor, but it's kind of like, I don't know. Maybe, yeah, I don't know. And how do you guys maybe make meatballs? If you're making spaghetti meatballs, how do you do that? And how do you guys prepare different cuts of beef as well? Now, I've had some game meats before, so if you guys have any ideas as well regarding frog or boar or venison or elk or bear or anything else like that, I'm definitely all ears. And also, what kinds of oils do you guys use? Olive oil, avocado oil, coconut oil, sesame oil? Are you guys going with the ghee butter now with Himalayan pink salt, that sort of thing? So what are you guys using? Definitely curious. And leave me your recipes, thoughts, comments, ideas below. All right, I'll catch you guys later. Thanks. Bye.